You're listening to The Jacob Valk Show. He's breaking down the latest and greatest in sports as only he can. Follow him on Twitter at RealJacobValk. Here he is, Jacob Valk.
Welcome to another edition of the Jacob Valk Show. I am the Jacob Valk, and you're not. I just have 3 words that I want to say before I get into anything. Yes, yes, yes! The Islanders did it! They did it! They won the East. The 4 seed won the East Division. The Islanders are going to go down in history. 20 years from now, when we're looking back at this COVID-affected season, we're going to see that the Islanders came out on top and won a topsy-turvy division. Think about it this way. This is the first time since 1988 that the Islanders have won their division. It's been over 30 years since we've seen an Islanders team this good. I've said this before, I'll say it again. Put Barry Trotz up in the rafters now. Put him right next to Bill Torrey. Put him right next to Al Arbor. You know what? You want to put something up for Lamoriello now? I'm okay with it. I'm not crazy about Lamoriello, but at the end of the day, he is the president of this Islanders team that has made the round before the Stanley Cup Finals in back-to-back years. It's nothing short of incredible what the Islanders have been able to accomplish. Think about where they were when Lamoriello started. Their best player had left for the Maple Leafs. No one thinks they're going to be any good. It's going to be another lengthy rebuild on Long Island. I think it was Bleacher Report that had their NHL power rankings before the 18-19 season. The subheader was from first to Islanders. But this disciplined, defense-first approach has worked. The players have bought into it. You know how I say talent wins over scheme in the NFL? Scheme can win over talent in the NHL. Case in point, the New York Islanders. The Bruins' 5 best players are better than the Islanders' best player. Okay, as much as I like Matthew Barzal, I'll take the perfection line, Charlie McAvoy and Tuukka Rask over him if I'm ranking all the players in the NHL. But this island of misfit toys has been whipped together by one of, if not the best coach in the NHL. And they're more successful now than they've been in 30 years. I mean, when I saw that Lou Lamoriello was going to require all the Islanders to shave throughout the regular season, I thought, what is he doing? The Islanders aren't the Yankees. He's not the owner. That's not going to work. but it installed a sense of discipline within the team. This is what we expect you to do. You need to fall in line. Everyone has. Matthew Barzal is talented enough to be a point-a-game player. You know he's never done that in the Lamoriello-Trotz era? You know he's never had 20 goals in the Lamoriello-Trotz era? Barzal and all the other Islanders are taking steps back for the betterment of the team. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. That is what Lamoriello and Trotz have had these guys buy into. And it's working perfectly. Did anyone think that the Islanders would beat the Bruins? I mean, come on. Look, I know I didn't do formal picks on this show, but I did say to people off air that the Bruins would destroy the Islanders. The series would be over in 5 or 6 games. The Bruins are just too talented. Doesn't matter. All throughout this series, the Islanders proved that you don't need to be the most talented team. If you execute defensively and score timely goals, that's all you need. The Islanders outplayed the Bruins in this game for the first time all series. Seriously, go back and look at the 6 games in this series. Game 1, the Bruins thoroughly outplayed the Islanders. Game 2 was, let's say, even. Game 3, the Bruins outplayed the Islanders. Game 4 was a little more even. Game 5, the Bruins outplayed the Islanders. No question about that. Game 6, the Islanders utterly and completely outplayed the Bruins. This team just has a knack for winning must-win games. You remember what I said about the Penguins series, that the Islanders won the must-win games in that series? Same thing here. Game 2 was a must-win game. You don't want to fall behind 2-0. I don't care if you're going back to the Collie. The Islanders won it. Game 4, you don't want to go down 3-1. The Islanders won it. Game 5, you don't want to have to be in a position to play a Game 7 in Boston. The Islanders won it. Game 6, same thing. Islanders win. What a way to close out the Nassau Coliseum. Making it to the round before the Stanley Cup Finals for the 2nd straight year. Something that the Islanders haven't done in over 35 years. I mean, here's the thing with this team. And this is a great position to be in as a sports fan. Whatever happens is gravy. Like, I'm a Nets fan, okay? Anything less than a title is a disappointment. For the Islanders, if they were to get swept against the Lightning, this is still an incredibly successful season. No one expected them to get past Boston. Very few people expected them to get past the Penguins. I certainly picked the Penguins. Although in my defense, I did say that the Islanders had a better chance against the Penguins than any team in the East Division. Turns out I was wrong on that front. I did not think that they would beat this Bruins team. No chance. It's gravy. Anything that happens from here on out is gravy. What's easier for you as a sports fan? Watching a team go on a big run that's a title favorite? Or watching a team go on a big run that's shocking the sport? It's the latter for me. The former gives you a lot of stress. You don't want to have to say bad things about your team. If the Nets lose, I'm going to have to say bad things about them. I don't want to do that. I mean, it kills me to pick against my team. It kills me to rip my teams. Do I do it? Yes, but I don't like doing it. People have said that to me. They've said, Jacob, you love ripping your teams. You're a contrarian. You just love picking against them. No, I don't. Nothing would make me happier than to see the New York Yankees go 162-0, see the Islanders and Nets go 82-0, and see the Jets go 17-0. I mean, after Anthony Cirelli scored that goal last year that eliminated the Islanders, I said, you know what, they gave me a fun ride. That's really all I can ask for. I wasn't overly upset. Was I upset that they lost? Absolutely. But I wasn't breaking TVs. I'll be honest with you. The Nikita Kucherov goal in Game 2 upset me more than the Cirelli goal in overtime in Game 6. Look, the Islanders are a great underdog story, and everyone loves the underdog. Even though the Islanders made the Eastern Conference Finals last year, did anyone expect them to be in the same position the next year? You could see the Lightning being back there. The Lightning are a great team. But did anyone think that a New York Islanders team that traded one of their best defensemen in Devon Taves and really did nothing in free agency to be right back here? To be within 4 wins of the Stanley Cup Finals? And needing to go through the Lightning again? The answer is no. It's a fantastic underdog story. Let me tell you something. The entire hockey world is going to be rooting for the Islanders. Everyone outside of Florida is going to be rooting for the Islanders. In fact, some people in Florida may root for the Islanders because we know that a lot of New Yorkers moved to Florida. I mean, you can't tell me that it's impossible for them to beat the Lightning. The Bruins and Lightning are similar. Incredibly talented. Great forward core, great goalies. We know the talent's there, but the Islanders just knocked off another incredibly talented team in the Bruins. What's to stop them from doing it again? What's to stop them from closing out the Nassau Coliseum with a Stanley Cup Finals appearance? Maybe more than an appearance. You can't tell me it's impossible. I mean, I'll tell you, I was there yesterday. That building was rocking. It was kind of fun. My father and I ate before the game. Didn't want to wait online for subpar concessions at the Coliseum. We got there maybe 45 minutes before puck drop. And it's kind of funny. The best parking lot at the Coliseum is on the right side. You don't want to make the left. You don't want to have to go straight and park in the secondary lot. Takes forever to get out of there. No, you want that primary lot. The past couple games, though, my father and I have parked in the secondary lot. But I had an idea. In Game 4, I noticed that the last row in the lot had open spots. I asked the attendant, can I park there? And he said, we were told to keep them open. He didn't know why, that's just what they were told to do. I didn't like that answer. That was a stupid answer. Game 4 I accepted it, Game 6 I didn't. That row was not closed off, by the way. The lot that I'm talking about has barricades in some rows, not all. If you don't want people going in that lot, that's fine, but have the barricades positioned in a way that it's impossible to get through. Okay, I'm not doing anything wrong. You're keeping this row open? You haven't closed the barricades? I'm going to take it. So I went down a row. Obviously, there were no spots. I knew there wouldn't be. My father was a little confused. He's like, okay, Jacob, what's your plan now? I said, you'll see. Went down to the last row. Knew that it would be open. And parked there. You just have to be careful while driving because you have people stepping on the concrete to walk into the Coliseum. But other than that, very easy parking job. And my father was impressed. He was like, okay, Jacob, that was nice. I like how you did that. Didn't break up any tailgating either. I think the worst thing I did was make 2 people move who were standing close to the spot. And I think I encouraged them to actually enter the Coliseum. But they were cool about it. They didn't mind it. I said thank you. They said you're welcome. No issue there. There was an issue getting into the Coliseum, though. They wanted everyone to go to the main entrance. No, I don't want to do that. I parked by this entrance. It's a long walk to the main entrance. Coliseum security mistake number 1, or number 2, depending on how you feel about the parking lot. My father and I were able to get online, even though those lines were supposedly closed off. Mistake number 2. You are not allowed to bring outside food and drink into the Nassau Coliseum. You're allowed not to like that, but you know what? You gotta deal with it, okay? If you're that against it, don't go to the game. This guy who was in front of me, who made a big enough deal about it, was able to enter with sealed bottles of water. Now look, in a perfect world, I'd let people bring food and drink in, but keep it consistent. Don't let him bring in sealed bottles if no one else can. I said to the guy, since when can you bring in bottles of water? He said, since now. I said, oh, that's fair. That's really fair. Went through the metal detector. Said, you're all a bunch of rent-a-cops. The guy told me to relax. I turned around and flipped him off. You don't mess with me. Okay? I don't take crap from anyone. If I think that something's wrong, I'm going to speak up. What was that song by Paper Lace in the mid-70s? Billy, don't be a hero tonight? Maybe Billy can't be a hero, but Jacob can. Here's another mistake by Coliseum security. I didn't bring my mask with me. You don't need to wear a mask to watch a game at the Coliseum anymore. Was there a time when you needed to? The answer is yes, but now you can take it off. So I didn't bring the mask with me. The ticket taker said you need to have your mask on when you're walking around the concourse. That's the first I've ever heard that. Moreover, no one else was wearing their mask when they were walking around the concourse. So I just said, okay, I'll put it on in a second and just moved right along. That's one of those things I'm not going to pick a fight over. Security letting sealed bottles of water in for one guy but no one else, yeah, that's wrong. That's 100% wrong. Some ticket taker telling me to wear a mask when walking around the concourse? No. That's not worth it. I mean, I'll say this, I'm going to continue not bringing a mask with me to Islanders games. If you change the rule, that's fine, but just make it consistent. Don't tell me that it's okay for one person to bring in bottles of water. And don't tell me that I need to wear a mask to walk around the concourse when no one else does. Keep it consistent. If you can't see what's wrong with that, you're an idiot. And just for whatever it's worth, leaving the Coliseum, no one was wearing a mask. We were all high-fiving each other. We were all yelling and screaming. And I'll tell you, I got out of the parking lot in like 2 minutes. My father said, "Jacob, do you want me to help you back out?" I said, "No, I could do it." Did it very easily. Got out of the parking lot incredibly quickly. Got into the left lane on Earl Ovington Boulevard very quickly. That may not mean anything to you if you don't go to the Coliseum a lot, but trust me. It's very difficult to get into the left lane in a timely fashion on Earl Ovington Boulevard when you're leaving the Coliseum. I did it very easily. I think I actually ended up making a right turn into the left lane. I know you're not supposed to do that, make a right turn into the right lane, I get that, but I saw my opportunity and I took it. All in all, here's hoping that UBS Arena does a better job in enforcing its security procedures. SMG has been terrible for years, let me tell you. And this Islanders team has a real chance of beating the Lightning. I don't know if I'm going to officially say that they're going to beat the Lightning. I don't even know when that series is going to start. But they have a chance. They have a very good chance of beating the Lightning. Moving on now to Avalanche Golden Knights. If the Avalanche are going to win this game, as cliche as this is going to sound, I can't make anything up. Keep your eye on the prize. The Avalanche had a 2-0 lead headed into the third period of Game 5. Okay, it was in Denver. They had a golden opportunity to go up 3-2. Instead, they gave up 2 goals in a span of 184 seconds. And then 50 seconds into overtime, Mark Stone won the game for the Golden Knights. Keep the pressure up. Don't lose sight of what you need to do. You can't just sit back and let the Golden Knights attack. Go back to the Islanders series, Game 5. The Islanders had a 3-goal lead in the third period. After Nelson scored that goal, the Islanders got a little passive. They let the Bruins waltz into their zone. They let Varlamov get peppered with shots. What everyone thought was a meaningless goal by Brock Nelson turned out to be the game winner. The Bruins outshot the Islanders 18-3 in the third period. The Islanders came close to losing that game. Then in Game 6, when they had the 3-goal lead in the third period, they did a great job of keeping the pressure up. They outshot the Bruins 7-5 in the period. There was never a moment in that third period that I thought the Islanders were going to lose. After the Palmieri goal, as I was hugging my father, I said they're going to do it. They're going to go on to face the Lightning. The Avalanche need to duplicate what the Islanders did in Game 6. Keep the pressure up. As for the Golden Knights, I'd like them to get a little more physical. The Avalanche did win the physical game. The Avalanche out-hit the Golden Knights 41-31. I'd like the Golden Knights to finish their checks and be a little more aggressive. I'd also like them to avoid the back-breaking goals. Brandon Saad scores late in the first period. That's a backbreaker. Jonas Donskoy makes a 2-0 Avalanche. That's a little bit of a backbreaker. I'd like the Golden Knights to get out to an early lead. Look, I could see either team winning this game. It's really 51-49. I'd love to not make a pick, but I will make one. I'll say that the Avalanche force a Game 7, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if the Golden Knights won it at home. Oh, and just a couple more notes on the Islanders game. There was this guy sitting a couple rows in front of me. He was in a Brian Trottier jersey. And he didn't like that I wasn't very demonstrative. I mean, he was all over the place screaming and yelling. I'm sure he's lost his voice for the next 48 hours. Look, I'm not begrudging him for being extremely demonstrative. It was an exciting game. Your team's one win away from going to the next round. I get it. The guy seems like a nice guy. I don't think he has a mean bone in his body, just from the little bit I interacted with him, but if someone's not very demonstrative, you don't need to single him out. You don't need to point at him and say, come on, get loud. That's not my style. That's not how I get into the game. You don't need to yell and scream to be into a game. Can you be? The answer is yes, but it's not necessary. I mean, look, I'm not mad at him. He certainly wasn't doing it maliciously. I'm not insinuating that. Okay, the guy does seem like a nice guy. And look, if you want to turn around and say, get up, guys, come on, get up, get loud, that's fine. But you don't need to point at someone and say, let's go, get loud. I just didn't like that. But again, I know that he wasn't doing it maliciously, okay? I'm not mad at him. The second thing was kind of funny. The row in front of me on the aisle, there was this father and daughter that was standing, and they were, I think, the only ones in the section standing. I mean, I hate telling people down in front. I just don't like doing it. I know I just got done saying I don't take crap from anyone. That's just something that makes me uncomfortable. I didn't need to, though. The people behind me were yelling at him to sit down, and the looks that the father and daughter gave to the row behind me was incredible. The father was like, okay, calm down. The daughter was like, whoa, relax. It was just funny. I mean, just to be clear, the row behind me was right. If no one else is standing, sit down. If everyone else is standing, like, it's 2 minutes left in the game, and everyone is standing, okay, that's fine. I get that. You gotta deal with that. If it's like 7 minutes left in the game and you're the only one standing, no. You sit down. Alright, now I'll give you some NBA Valk talk. And I'll start with the Suns absolutely destroying the Nuggets. The Suns won by 25 points. They had a 31-point lead at one point in this game. What you're seeing is a combination of two things. The Suns are coalescing at the right time. Chris Paul is getting healthy at the right time. And with him at 100%, the Suns are a very tough team to beat. And the Nuggets are really starting to miss Jamal Murray. They've gotten away with it for a while, but now that they're going up against one of the best point guards of all time in Chris Paul, he's making him pay. I mean, you've got Nikola Jokic doing Jokic things. He's not the issue here. I love Jokic. Really like watching him play. Very fun player to watch. No one else is helping him. Michael Porter was non-existent yesterday. Same thing with Aaron Gordon. Facundo Campazzo is getting massively overrated. Every time I watch a Nuggets game, I keep hearing, you know what, this Campazzo guy, he's not bad. Yeah, he is. I mean, he just is. He's not a good player. Okay, he's just not. I mean, Paul Millsap and Will Barton stepped up, give him credit, but when everyone in the starting five except Nikola Jokic no-shows, they combined for just 26 points, that's not going to work. I mean, the Suns did a good job defensively, but it was more the Nuggets just collapsing. They missed Jamal Murray a lot. And like I said, the Suns are coming together at the right time. Devin Booker's doing his thing. Chris Paul's doing his thing. DeAndre Ayton's doing his thing. Mikal Bridges is doing his thing. Jay Crowder's doing his thing. Torrey Craig is doing his thing. This is shaping up to be a scary Suns team. I'm not saying the series is over. The series is going to Denver for the first time, but the way the Suns are playing and the way the Nuggets are playing, it doesn't look good for the Nuggets. A series that I thought would actually be kind of fun has turned out to be a hard series to get into. That's really disappointing. But now it's time to preview tonight's two games, and I will start with Nets-Bucks. We learned yesterday that James Harden and Jeff Green are going to be out for this game. Was I hopeful that we could see him here? The answer is yes. Does it really matter, though? At this very moment, the answer is no. Look, when the Nets won Game 2 by 39 points, they gained the luxury of being able to be cautious with the Green and Harden injuries. I mean, I'll say this, if the Bucks win tonight, you'd like to see Harden and Green back for Game 4. You don't want the series to turn into a best 2 out of 3 if it doesn't have to be. And Game 4 is on Sunday, so they have a lot of time to recover. This is the playoffs. This is the time where you've got to play hurt. I understand that that's risky. Cough, cough, Anthony Davis. Cough, cough, Kevin Durant. But at the same time, look at what Chris Paul is doing for the Suns. You've got to be able to play through pain in the playoffs. It's just that simple. If the Nets are going to win this game, believe it or not, I'm going to say that Blake Griffin needs to step up again. We all know that Durant is going to get his. We all know that Kyrie is going to get his. That goes without saying. But Blake Griffin stepped up in Game 1. He had 18 points and 14 rebounds. And in Game 2, he had some incredible moments. The putback dunk, posterizing Giannis. The Blake Griffin that we've been seeing in this round is Lob City Blake Griffin. He's got to keep that up if the Nets want to win this game. As for the Bucks, as cliche as this is going to sound, the best thing they can do is just forget about the 2 previous games. Game 1, they had every opportunity to win with James Harden leaving in less than a minute. They let Joe Harris, Blake Griffin, and Mike James go off. And then Game 2, you get run out of the building. Those are 2 tough losses to come back from. You can't think about those, though. If you start thinking about them, they're going to get in your head, and they're going to be defeated before tip-off. 24-hour rule. You can be mad about it for 24 hours, then after that, it's on to the next game. The Bucks do have a good chance of winning this game. It's in Milwaukee. No Harden, no Green. On paper, that does bode well for the Bucks. The thing is, though, the Nets just utterly destroyed them in Game 2. The offense was clicking. The defense was clicking. It wouldn't stun me if the Bucks won, but I gotta pick the Nets. How great would it be to go up 3-0 in this series? Oh my Lanta. Moving on now to Clippers Jazz. If the Clippers are going to win this game, it's pretty simple. They've got to get Paul George cooking. George can't have another game where he shoots 4 for 17 from the field, 3 for 8 from beyond the arc, and does most of his damage from the charity stripe. Paul George is the second best player that the Clippers have. If he no-shows again, the Jazz are going to be up 2-0. And that's not impossible to come back from if you're the Clippers, but it's certainly not easy. It's all on Paul George here, okay? He doesn't have any excuses. He's got to show up here. As for the Jazz, I'd like for them to not be so reliant on Donovan Mitchell. We all know that Mitchell went off the other day. He had 45 points. It was a fantastic performance. There's no question about that. In fact, you can make the argument that it vaulted him from star to superstar, and I spoke about that yesterday. But are the Jazz going to win another game where Mitchell's the only player that puts up 20 points? Are the Jazz going to win another game where Jordan Clarkson shoots 6 for 18 from the field? When Rudy Gobert only has 10 points? When Joe Ingles shoots 3 for 12 from the field and 1 for 8 from beyond the arc? I don't think so. They've got to get those other guys going. As great as Mitchell is, you don't want him to have to win games by himself every game. All in all, I'll say that Paul George is going to have a bounce-back performance. Some players wilt under the bright lights, and Paul George is under the bright lights here. He's under a lot of pressure. All eyes are going to be on him. The entire basketball world will be watching him. It's put up or shut up time for him. I think he knows that. I think he's going to rise to the occasion. I think this is going to be another close game. But I'll say that the Clippers even it up at 1. There was another NBA story to talk about. An interesting trade rumor. According to Chris Mannix of Sports Illustrated, the Celtics and Kemba Walker are going to part ways. So Brad Stevens' first move as president of basketball operations for the Celtics is to move on from his starting point guard. Very, very interesting. Look, I don't begrudge the Celtics for wanting to move on from Walker. Walker has been a disappointment. He's missed a bunch of games. He certainly hasn't put them over the hump. Yes, in the bubble, the Celtics made the Eastern Conference Finals. But Walker wasn't great in the playoffs. He shot just 31% from beyond the arc. I mean, that's not going to work. And obviously, we know what happened this year. Walker missed 2 games, was dreadful in the 3 games that he played against the Nets. It was a joke. And Walker's due a decent chunk of change next year. Over $36 million. And the year after that, he has a $37.5 million player option. I mean, it's tough. If you move on from Walker, what are you going to do at point guard? Are you going to put Marcus Smart there full time? I don't hate it. I don't love it, but I don't hate it. Are you going to try to bring Evan Fournier back to play shooting guard then? I like Fournier. I wouldn't mind that for the Celtics. But then what are you trading Walker for? I mean, who are the 3 big names that we've heard in trade rumors? Damian Lillard, Kristaps Porzingis, and Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal you can knock out because the Wizards don't want to trade him and Bradley Beal doesn't want to leave. I don't think Kemba Walker works in a Lillard trade. The Celtics would do it. I just don't think the Trailblazers would. That leaves the Mavericks. I mean, it's interesting. Think about this starting 5 for a minute. Marcus Smart, Evan Fournier, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and Kristaps Porzingis. That sounds really good to me. The thing is, though, you're replacing a high-priced player in Walker with another high-priced player in Porzingis. I mean, I'll say this. A straight-up trade of Kristaps Porzingis for Kemba Walker works, according to the NBA trade machine. I'm not sure how the Celtics would feel about it. Because, again, what are the issues with Walker? He's injury-prone, and he's overpaid. Those are the same issues with Porzingis. Maybe he fits the roster better. There's no question that Porzingis is a million times better than Tristan Thompson. And he's better than Robert Williams by far. It's not even close. So maybe they could be talked into it. I don't see a team giving up a ton of draft picks for Kemba Walker. I mean, I think the Mavericks would do it. You can make the argument that Kemba Walker is better than Kristaps Porzingis. I mean, think about this backcourt. Luka Doncic and Kemba Walker. That's pretty darn good. That's one of the best backcourts in the NBA. I could see a Walker for Porzingis trade. I don't hate that. I mean, I did think of the Knicks because they do need a point guard. The thing is, though, would the Celtics trade Walker within the division. I understand that divisions don't mean as much in basketball as they do in other sports, but I think it's something you need to be mindful of. I mean, I'll say this. Kemba Walker for Mitchell Robinson and Obi Toppin works, according to the NBA trade machine. But then it brings up the question, would the Celtics want Mitchell Robinson? They already have Robert Williams. Those two guys are basically the same player. Obi Toppin they probably want, but again, you're treading in dangerous waters if you're the Knicks and you do that type of a trade. It's another trade where you're trading younger players for, to put it nicely, not a sure thing. I think it makes sense for the Knicks, because I think Mitchell Robinson's skill set is kind of redundant if the Knicks can bring back Nerlens Noel or Taj Gibson. And Obi Toppin really didn't impress me last year. Granted, he didn't get much of an opportunity, but still, he didn't impress me. You're not going to trade Barrett in that type of a deal. Kevin Knox doesn't move the needle. You're not going to trade Emmanuel quickly. I think Kemba Walker going to the Knicks for Mitchell Robinson, Obi Toppin, and a couple picks is interesting. I think it could work. I'd prefer a Porzingis trade if I was the Celtics. See, if you do that Knicks trade, you're signaling to everyone that you are not trying to contend. Because that trade doesn't make you any better. The Porzingis trade, you can make the argument it does. I mean, look, the Celtics are a young team anyway, so it doesn't make sense to go on a rebuild. You already have young guns in place. I mean, if you want to blow things up and say, you know what, we tried with Tatum and Brown, it didn't work, you can do that. Just realize it's going to be really tough sledding before you get good again. I mean, I think it's clear to everyone that the Celtics fumbled the bag a little bit. You had the opportunity to build a dynasty. You didn't even get to an NBA Finals. That's pretty bad. I mean, are the Celtics going to win with Tatum and Brown? I don't think so. So it makes sense to blow things up under that mindset, but you're going to get a lot of flack for it. You're going to be really bad for a while. But in a weird way, it does make sense. Having said that, though, I do think the best trade for the Celtics is Walker for Porzingis. That'll keep him competitive. He fits the roster a lot better. That seems like the best trade that the Celtics could get for Walker. And just one more thing on the Celtics. We all know that the Nets beat them. The Islanders just beat the Bruins. Back-to-back weeks, a New York team knocked out a Boston team in the playoffs. We all know the New York-Boston rivalry. At this very moment, edge New York. Tomorrow, you're going to get the interview that I'm going to do with William Reisig, the author of the book on Dick Stewart. Also, I can confirm this, on Monday, you're going to get an interview that I'm going to do with Andy Martino, the author of a book on the Houston Astros sign-stealing scandal. On Wednesday, you're going to get an interview that I'm going to do with Matt Frazier and Robert Cheek, the authors of a book on athletes following plant-based diets. Very interesting topic. A lot of exciting stuff happening on this show. One thing that won't be exciting for you, but it'll be exciting for me, from July 5th to July 9th, you're not going to get any shows. I'm going on vacation with my parents. We're going to South Dakota, Wyoming, Nebraska, and Colorado. We don't want to travel internationally during the pandemic, so we decided to go to some states that we never go to otherwise. I'm looking forward to it a lot, but again, July 5th to July 9th, no shows. Until next time, I am Jacob Valk saying that I want to wear the number 10 because all the women will say, there goes Jacob, he's a 10.